Hi, welcome everyone to another episode of Let's Talk Special Economic Zones. I'm your host, Ainsley Brown, and in today's episode, we're going to cover a topic called fiscal versus non-fiscal incentives. Which one is better? Now, before we get into that, let's just talk about, and of course, this relates to special economic zones, not generally, although I'm sure that some of what I'm going to say has general application. Now, when we speak about special economic zones, what we're talking about are specific geographic areas designated as such and have certain specific rules. Those rules will vary depending on the jurisdiction that are different from the rest of the economy. And also, there may be certain incentives associated with those geographies, right? So um, the nature of fiscal incentives, or I should, before I get into fiscal, the nature of special economic zones is that they're a geographic area um, that have special, rules associated with them. And they have a variety of different names, whether they call them free zones, enterprise zones, industrial parks, foreign trade zones. It's all the same thing, really, right? Now, when we talk about fiscal incentives, or there are two general types of incentives that are associated with a special economic zone: fiscal, non-fiscal. There is a third called financial, and I'll mention it just for completeness, but I won't get into much detail about it. So, a fiscal incentive is whereby the government offers some sort of tax incentive or duty incentive to attract investors to set up operations inside their country, inside their zone, inside those designated areas, right? So those can be, for example, a discount in the corporate income tax rate, or a different rate than the regular rate paid by companies in their domestic territory or rest of the economy. It can be, for example, customs duty waiver. It can be an absolute waiver that is on all goods going into the zone, or it can, have certain limitations and restrictions on it, depending on the jurisdiction that you are in. So they could say that they're giving duty waiver on raw materials that go into either construction, or that go into the production of a product or service. But anything else, you'd have to pay duty on, if duties apply. Now, financial incentives is whereby the government itself offers money um, to a company, to a business, to come in and set up. So I'm just saying that for completeness. I won't be delving into those. Financial incentives tend not to be offered a lot, as you can expect, but fiscal and non-fiscal are standard. Now, in many ways, the question of which one is better is a false question, because both have to work in tandem, right? Now, why would a company or sorry, a country offer fiscal versus non-fiscal, or a combination of the two? Oftentimes, why fiscal incentives are offered is because it's to make up for a deficit of the non-fiscal incentives. Let's take the United States, for example. Perfect example. It has a zone program, a very successful zone program, in fact. Its fiscal incentive is very poor. It only offers duty-free waivers. Basically, you bring in your materials, and as long as it remains in the zone, it's duty-free, right? To encourage such things as manufacturing. However, um, they don't offer other fiscal incentives, but their zone program is very successful. Why is that? Because the United States itself offers non-fiscal incentives, which come in the form of ease of doing business, the strength of their court system, the English language, things like that, a skilled workforce. All of these different things help to assist with making a location that much more attractive. So whenever a country is shaping what its fiscal versus non-fiscal incentives are, or primarily its fiscal incentives, it's going to look at the deficits that it has in its overall economy and then incentivize to make up for that shortfall, knowing that, well, their legal system may not be the best. They may be lacking raw materials, they may be lacking skilled persons. So, for example, zones have typically have a objective of skills transfer and technology transfer and all of this. So to incentivize that, you could put in, for example, a tax incentive for research and development, right? That's undertaken in the country. You can also put in a incentive for employment and training. So for every person you employ, you get this particular tax incentive, or for every person you train, you get this tax incentive, which is a fiscal incentive, of course. A non-fiscal example, a non-fiscal could be that you offer training, so you institute a training program to build up the specific skills that investor needs, right? So in terms of fiscal versus non-fiscal, it's both. They have to work together. How you find that right balance is going to depend on your jurisdiction, your situation. You have to find the right balance. The fiscal will be shaped primarily, not exclusive, but primarily by the deficits in what you can offer in terms of non-fiscal incentives. Of course, as I mentioned, there's the financial one, but those don't come up very often in many jurisdictions. So if you liked this episode, please like, share, subscribe. If you want to see me do a specific topic, just leave me a comment down below and I'll get right back to you. Bye for now.